So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word of my mouth, and warn them from me.
Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Middle Tennessee and examining current events from a biblical perspective, this is Bible News Radio with your hosts, Randall and Stacy Harp.
Hi, people. My hair. Oh my gosh. I know, I still haven't gotten a haircut, people, just so you know. That's alright. Kind of getting used to this look. Alright, hey. I want to welcome you to this edition of Bible News Radio. As you know, I'm your sweet and lovable host, Stacy Lynn Harp. Yeah, I am. And today we are going to talk about a controversial subject. In a word, nutrition. Yeah. Hey, I have this great author from Canada that I've been talking to for the last half hour. It was hard to be quiet just to start the show, but I have this brand new book. It's called 9 Servings of Vegetables. And the title of our show, which may, make you wonder, making men masculine through nutrition. Well, my guest, she knows stuff. Yeah, she does. She's gonna tell us about it. So do me a favor. Look, if you are into taking care of your body and doing what God tells you to do and stuff, and you eat every day, then please take a minute and share this show out to the whole world, to whatever social media platform you're on, because we can't, because everybody spikes our show because we're such a threat. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Anyway, I want to say hi to you guys in there. Hey, Melanie and Gina, nice to see you. Thanks for the hearts. Levon, Angie, nice to see you. Kingpin, there you go, you Kingpin, you. And I'm also going to go over here on Facebook. I'm going to share this out. Kingpin says he wants to become manly. Good. We need more manly men, like we had on yesterday. Roy Goebel. Yeah, Roy was manly. Just so you know, he worked in a junkyard his whole life. But today we have a woman on the show. Women power. Yeah. Yeah, we have power. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about nutrition with my guest, Josephine Zanetti. Yeah. If it sounds like she's Italian, it's because she is. Just so you know. So I'm going to go ahead and share this out on Facebook. Hey, if you're on Facebook, leave me a comment so I know you're there. Please and thank you. All right? All right, I'm going to share this out. The future is female. Yeah, it is. Hey, without women, men wouldn't be here. Just so you know. All right. In case you didn't know, actually, God made woman to help man. So that's what we're here. Man power, really? Did you really say that? Okay, men power is what you said. It's okay. I get you. I feel you. Yeah, I do. All right, people. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to my guest. This is an awesome lady who loves the Lord Jesus Christ. And I have to tell you that she is bold. Yesterday, I talked to her. I was like, who is this lady? She's just saying what the heck she thinks. Unlike me. I never hold back. I actually, I've learned to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say indirect, but softer. God made woman to annoy man. Well, that's probably true too. Oh, it's funny. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. First of all, Josephine Zanetti. She holds a degree in culinary arts from the Dubreuil French Culinary, did I say that right? School in Vancouver, British Columbia, and a certification in holistic nutrition from the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition. And what she's going to do today is she is going to explain to us how in her book, 9 Servings of Vegetables, how to add zip and pizzazz to foods you thought were boring, prevent disease and remove toxic metals simply through changing your diet, make every meal both tantalizing and wholesome, stop cancer, allergies, candida, diabetes, heart disease, bone loss, dementia, and obesity in their tracks, okay? For that alone, you should be inviting the whole world, just so you know, because I can tell you, like, I've had cancer touch my family, allergies, candida, diabetes, heart disease, dementia, and obesity. I've had all of this stuff touch my life in some way. Also, here is an endorsement from Dr. Bonnie Frayling, who's a MD, nutritional anti-aging medical practitioner. They say, one of the most challenging aspects of nutritional balancing is consuming 9 servings of cooked vegetables every day. Simple, easy to prepare recipes are needed, and this cookbook provides plenty of them. This manual will be a great help to anyone in the program and to vegetable lovers everywhere. We're going to tell you where you can get this book, just so you know. It's beautiful. And also, wait, hold on. I'm going to tell you, look how thick it is. This is a thick cookbook. Yeah, there it is. It's glossy and everything. It's a beautiful book. It's actually heavy. This will be my weightlifting for the day. Yeah. So without further ado, Josephine Zanetti, welcome to Bible News Radio for the first time. Glad you're here.
Hi, Stacy. That was great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Wonderful.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and you know what? I know my audience is going to find you absolutely delightful and refreshing, just like good food and drink.
Well, I hope so. We'll find out.
Yeah. So, all right. So tell me a little bit about yourself, because I like people to get to know why people get involved in the health and nutrition, because I actually have a number of friends that have gotten involved later in life in the field, after most of the time engaging and having some type of health problem. So tell me a little bit about who you are and why you got involved in this area.
Well, I really was interested in health and nutrition all my life, pretty much, because I was a very sickly child. And so I started elimination diet in my teens, and then cutting my Italian diet pretty much, I would say, in my 30s, completely no pasta, no pizza. And at one point, I really realized that, it's a great way to serve other people. Really, this work for me is like serving God. I'm glorifying God doing this work because I'm here to help other people. And so for me, it's like it was a no-brainer to get involved in nutrition because of that. Because it really is about God in the first place, because God wants us to look after our health. This is our temple, Mm-hmm. We're renting it. That's it. We're renting it, and he expects us to look after it the best that we can anyways, right? So I know that a lot of us Christians, we believe that when we're sitting down, we bless the food that we're eating, that everything's going to be okay. But you know what? God is not running the world. We know he's not running the world. He's not here. And we got Monsanto to worry about. And we got a lot of stuff to worry about. The soil is not the way it used to be 100 years ago before the fertilizer came in. That was great, but now fertilizer came, pesticides came. So my interest in nutrition was always pretty much all my life, because my grandfather, who was, born in Italy, very interested in, he was a gardener and stuff, and he got sick, and around his 50s. So what happened is they wanted to I say that in the book, by the way. They wanted to operate him, have a surgery, the whole 9 yards. He goes to the hospital. He does the whole thing. Almost. He's got the dress on and everything. And I don't know what happened, but they went back in the room. He was gone. He had put his clothes on, never looked back, and he stopped everything. He stopped the pizza. He stopped everything my grandmother was cooking, and he started to eat only a stew. This was a man, Stacy, that had no education. Okay, didn't know how to write or read, my grandfather. He was also a janitor. Okay, but he stopped all of that, and for more than 20 years, he survived on the food that he ate, that he made for himself, because he couldn't trust my grandmother, because in case she was going to put something in. So it was only a plain stew that he would eat on a daily basis. And he was my inspiration, quite honestly, because he really made me realize that food is a poison. It can be healing, but it can also be a poison.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you touched on a couple of different things I want to pull out. The first thing you mentioned Monsanto. Now, I know who Monsanto is, but maybe somebody in our audience doesn't. So can you give a little bit of a thumbnail about who they are, what they do?
Well, that's a conglomerate, big company that are involved in all the toxic metals, toxic chemicals that is being sprayed on people that they spray. And they're pretty much involved in many areas dealing with the food industry, quite honestly. That's pretty much what what Monsanto is about. Monsanto is like the godfather,
Yeah, well, you're right. And what they do is they poison everything. It's like pesticide. And this is why buying organic is very important. And I used to have an issue when all these fanatical people would say, well, buy organic. And I'd be like, well, it's more expensive. Nah, I don't want to buy organic. But you know what? The truth is that when you buy organic or certified organic, hopefully they're abiding by the organic guidelines that are out there, and you're avoiding those type of things that are on your food. And I can actually tell you, I'll give you a perfect example of organic, something that I buy versus non-organic. Randall and I eat eggs almost every day. And when I bought eggs that were not organic versus eggs that were organic, two things happened. I'll tell you what happened. First of all, even though the organic ones cost more money, first of all, I make my dogs food, okay? And when I gave my dogs the regular eggs that were not organic, my dogs did not like them nearly as much. They would actually leave them alone in some cases. In particular, Grover, he was very picky about, like, I don't really want to eat these eggs. Then I started tasting the eggs, and I was like, yeah, these aren't really that good. Then we went back to the organic eggs, and noticed how much plumper they were. The yolks were better. They taste better. And I went back and gave them to my dogs. My dogs like them better. And I am a firm believer, if your dog won't eat it, you probably shouldn't eat it, as far as, human type food that you would feed them. So, but.
Very good test. That's the way to test.
Yeah. I mean, just with eggs, right? I mean, I know some people are allergic to eggs. I'm not, thankfully. But
another thing with Monsanto, really, with the subject is about man today, and really they've been also spraying a lot of pesticide, not just on food, but it could be also in the air with the chemtrails. All of these things, and a lot of it might also be a lot of estrogen that is in these pesticides that are turning men and have turned men in the last 40 years. It just didn't happen all of a sudden. It was a slow progress, very slow progress. I remember my aunt some 40 years ago had made a comment about men looking more feminine than they did masculine. They had hips. She had made comments, they had hips, and some of them had breasts. So it was already starting even some years ago, except now, you'll see men cry easily, much more than, the John Waynes are not anywhere near us anymore. I mean, because men, the new generation especially, young 20s and 30s, they're more feminized. And I would attribute that to the food that they eat also, and the air that we breathe, the water we drink. It seems to me that a lot of it is by design, but I mean, we have no way of proving that. But it does say that a lot of the chemicals are high estrogen, and we know what high estrogen is. That's a female hormone. Yeah, and it makes women actually more aggressive. We end up with ovary cancer or breast cancer. And so it is definitely an issue. And the diet is really to try to bring balance, we're kind of like, I talk about in the book, the yin and the yang, and the yin and the yang, it's like the yin is a very female energy, boom. And we live in a time right now that we're on the precipice. Right. It's so yin that it's going like this. And that's not just with the woman. We see it with all the groups out there, what's happening with the Black Life Matters and whatever else that's going on. Unbeknown to them, if they would start eating other kind of food without the process that's in the food, I think they would start thinking clearly. And so I don't think McDonald's came about just because out of only to have a burger that was cheap. I mean, we could do a good burger without having all that those chemicals in there. It's as costly as doing. I find that it's as costly as doing cheap things as it would be as doing quality food. So the question to ask is, why is it that we have so much food out there that is so bad for our health?
Right. Well, it's not really food. I mean, if you look at McDonald's, you've probably seen that YouTube video of the hamburger that never disintegrates. It's like a year old and it's still, oh, here, you can eat this, Yeah.
We have that with the vegetables, by the way, right? You can keep vegetables if they're not organic for months in the fridge.
You know what? That is so true. And I actually saw a video, and I wasn't sure if it was real or not, but it was somebody who they cut open a ball of, it's called a ball, I guess, a head of lettuce. And they actually said, if you look at this is actually plastic on the outside of it. And they actually were talking about how they left it in their fridge forever and it never molded. And I was like, I was slightly skeptical, but I really shouldn't be. I actually have a question here in the audience here. It says here, Steven says, women are more masculine today, but, oh, actually it wasn't him. Yeah, it's probably true. Yum Punk says, I just came on here. What's the best food to make more masculine? That's a good question.
Well, the best food, I would say the best food to avoid would be foods exactly like the McDonald's, a processed food, because there's a lot of chemicals in it. I would say soy is very high in estrogen.
Yep.
I would say milk also. Dairy products, unless you get it raw, and you can in the United States. There's a lot of states where you're able to get it raw. You're fortunate in that way. And foods that are very good for man is red meat. It's not just the vegetables. In my book, I call it 9 servings of vegetables because we need to eat a lot of vegetables. It's not enough to eat just 1 cup of vegetables. You need to eat more because we're so minerally depleted, unlike, let's say, 50, 60 years ago because of the soil not being good. But for men to eat more vegetables and eat red meat 2 or 3 times a week, lamb is very good. That would be something. And also to do some detox, detox procedures is very important. This diet is like a detox, really, but you're not on a fast. You detoxify on a daily basis by eating the kind of food that I suggest, the vegetables, no fruits, and no fruits with seeds, because fruits with seeds is it is a fruit, so that's a problem because of the sugar, glucose going up and down. Then you get the brain fog, you can't think, you get burnout. How many people you have a president of the United States. He's like a cockroach, quite honestly, but he's got to be a fast oxidizer. And you got the slow oxidizers and fast oxidizers. This guy sleeps 4 hours a night. I mean, he's amazing. And he's 72 years old. He's looking pretty good for his age. But I'm concerned about him. I'm really concerned. He's really, really an alpha male. There's no question about him. Okay. And but I'm concerned because he's big. He's not looking after his health. He looks like he's eating. He eats on the run a lot. These guys, they usually die just like this. Heart attack, boom, they're gone. No cancer, nothing, they're gone. So because you can't live like that forever. It's not possible. I'm sure that sometimes he eats good meals, especially now that he's in the White House. He gets all these people cooking for him, although he probably did before too, wherever in the Trump towers.
Right. Well, you know what I think is interesting, speaking of presidential men,
Right.
The previous president, Barack Hussein Obama, was a femi man, in my opinion. He's girly.
Yeah.
He's a complete femi man, not manly in any sense of the word at all. In my opinion, you can hate me if you love Obama, but he compared to Trump, he's a girl. Okay, I mean, just wait. Okay, don't hate me, you people in the audience, but you know what I'm saying. And I think that's part of the reason why a lot of people hate Donald Trump, because he is a man and he has a chest. You know what I'm saying? He's got a pair of, he's got,
King Kong. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's why the rest of the world don't like him. I mean, in Canada, he's despised, this guy, because this is a disciplinarian. He was a disciplinarian with his kids too. They don't use drugs, they don't smoke.
Right.
I mean, they're very well mannered, pretty much. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Obama's daughter, who was caught smoking marijuana. Right? So, I mean,
I'm just laughing because I love you. I really do.
I think that, we can't really look at the way Trump eats. So that's, for your audience, that's got to be clear, because
right.
Donald Trump is a species on his own. Okay, and he is a fast oxidizer. But and fast oxidizers usually are very successful people. Okay, they're not slow, and they're needed. But it's not good as we get older to be fast oxidizers. We want to be more slow, not too slow, but what we want is to have an oxidation that brings us more down to earth, more spiritual. Donald is not spiritual. You could say he is, but he's all business.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that. No, I have no problem with that, because he's got a country to run as he had a business to run. Okay. But us, the regular people, it's okay to become more spiritual. We need that in our lives as we get older. And this is what makes us more right instead of left, and tilting to the left, because people are really tilting to the left. I mean, in Canada, people in the majority are tilting to the left. It's not funny. I have to say, it's like even scary. But the truth, it's the way it is. In the United States, it appears like you have a lot of people tilting to the right, but you have way more people tilting to the left.
That's true.
And a lot of powerful people tilting to the left. You got the Hollywood industry that's tilting all the way to the precipice, them.
Yeah.
So not everybody, but most everyone in that industry are pretty much. And it's, I think the food we eat is very important. Most people are big on smoothies. A lot of the smoothies is not good. That's not going to make you manly. If anyone's listening, forget that. You're not going to see John Wayne sucking up a smoothie. You know what I mean?
That's quotable.
That's right. Red steak, red ribeye, or a filet mignon or something. But it ain't going to be a smoothie. Okay? So, I mean, these are things. And even Jesus in his time, when you think about it, Stacy, he ate pretty much a lot of stuff. He had meat, he had lamb, he had grains, he had his, the vegetables and stuff. He didn't have chips in those days. There was no soya, no processed food. And so he's a good example, and it's all in the Bible. It talks about all of that in the Bible. In the book of Daniel, it talks about the vegetables, where they chose the vegetables instead of any other food and stuff like this. So it's like, I mean, we have so much. That book alone in the Bible, whether it's the first part or whether we read the second commandment, there is so much for us to get out of that, because men have to come out of their shell. And right now, it's becoming worse and worse. And it seems like, look at the commercial with Gillette. What happened? I mean, let's get rid of the toxic masculinity, they say.
Yeah, well.
Imagine being born a man, being born a boy. It's not going to be funny for them. And my heart goes out to them. Really, it does. Really goes.
It does. I mean, we were talking earlier, everybody, about the gay agenda a little bit, and how, well, just how, anyway. and it really is true. Now, you mentioned earlier, wait, hold on, I took a note. Now, you listed a few things that we shouldn't eat, like soy, okay? Now, what about tofu? Tofu has a lot of soy in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, tofu would not be good. You know, people eat a lot of tofu.
Ugh.
For us, like, we're not Japanese. You know, that's another thing. People in Asia eat a lot of tofu. We don't digest tofu very well in the Western world, as well as, let's say, the Chinese or the Japanese. We don't do well. It's high in estrogen, very high in estrogen, that too. And I really suspect that it's high in many other food, even the fruits, because it's best they spray. And don't forget, when we eat a fruit, we don't cook the fruit.
Right.
And that's a problem, because although they say, well, it's organic, everything is being sprayed. So on one side, you got an organic garden or an organic farm, and on the other side, it's non-organic. Surely some spraying is happening also on the other side when they're spraying.
Right, sure. And so, like, what about like a banana or something like that? I mean, I know you said not to eat fruit.
Not even, because the banana too is very sweet. It's very high in potassium. And what it does is it makes people in fast oxidation, gives toxic potassium in the body, and not good. I would not recommend that. And we find that with children, by not eating any of the fruits and just, breastfeed for the first few years without solid food in order to make sure that their system is going to be okay, and then get them on the vegetables, some meat, shredded meat, chicken, turkey, lamb, a little bit of beef. They do very, very well without the sugar. And the sugar today is a problem, even the banana.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a diabetic, you can't have a banana unless you're on a medication. Okay. If you don't want to be on meds, you stay away from that. God has given us a lot of stuff, okay? A lot of stuff. We can choose and pick whatever we want. It's like a big zoo out there, and we can have anything we want, if we want. That's why he gave us a will. And this is where we have to discern. Not because he gave us everything. I'm certainly not going to eat an elephant because somebody tells me that it's okay to eat an elephant. Well, it's the same thing with fruits. Okay, some fruits, I say once in a while, if you have some berries during the summer, and you certainly don't want the berries that are the worst are the strawberries. Very, very high in pesticides. Even though they don't spray them, they're still very high in pesticides.
Yeah, I'm actually allergic to strawberries, and I love strawberries. But what happens with me, if I even eat 1 or 2 or 3 little strawberries, the next day I'll have little red dots all over my face.
Wow. So you see, in a way for you, it's good. You're blessed because it shows up right away. Yeah. Some people, it takes them a lot of time, and then they develop disease, and because they don't know it. So You're blessed that you have these little things that goes up.
So Gina wants to know, she says, the Bible says eat fruit of the vine equals grapes. Does she think that fruit is okay? Basically, she wants to know, do you think eating grapes is okay?
No, you know what, Gina? I would say to you that the grapes are the most sprayed fruit right now. Because they're open. They're made for wine, and they're made for all kinds of things. Grapes are the worst, actually.
What if you wash them? That somebody else asked that. What if you wash them off?
Not even if you wash them. Even if you wash them, what you got to think about is that it's uncooked. It's not cooked. It's not good for the digestion. Okay, that's number one. It's not good for the digestion. Okay, it makes your body quite unbalanced. And you develop the candida out of that. Okay, it's like being drunk with candida. Candida, what is candida? It's like being drunk. Okay, you build up fungus in your body. Okay, and the fungus, the more it builds, the more brain fog you become. We find that people who do not eat the fruits start thinking clearly, and that's what we want. We want people to start thinking clearly, because they're so fogged up. It's like having a bottle of wine on a daily basis with the kind of food, even the fruits.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, well, Well, it's totally true, and I can't believe we're already at the bottom of the hour. So let me. Do you want to stay the rest of the show, like the other half? Do you have time?
Well, I don't know. Do you have any other questions for me? Or,
Yeah, I do. People are interested.
All right, we'll do it for another 30 minutes.
Okay. All right, let me take my break, everybody. And then after the break, we're going to ask Josephine a couple more questions, okay? So you guys line up your questions as I'm doing our break, and I will scroll through and I'll see them at the end, okay? So, and Sean, by the way, if you're still watching, Sean says Italy rules over on Facebook, and I saw that, and I appreciate you saying that. I'm sure Josephine does too. All right, everybody. So today, as you know, we're talking nutrition. Yeah, we are. Yeah, as you can see, I'm the epitome of health. That's why we do shows like this. So anyway, I also want to thank our sponsor, Ariel Ministries. If you don't know about Ariel, this is a Messianic Jewish ministry that Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum and his wife, Marianne, started a number of years ago, almost, I think, like 50 years ago or something, pretty close to that. Anyway, you can go over to ariel.org. You can save 20% when you use the coupon code Bible News, because that's the coupon code that we have for them. And, if you want some recommendations on what to get over there, you can visit our website, BibleNewsRadio.com. If you go over there to BibleNewsRadio.com, then you can go over to our resources page. And on the resources page, we've actually highlighted a number of products for you that we recommend to you. And by the way, you guys, these things make a great gift. If you're a pastor or an elder or a leader in your church, I just encourage you to get some of this just to edify your own self. And then what the Lord will give you will, flow out of that as well. And while you're also over at Bible News Radio, I want to say, invite you to become a partner with us, become a pillar of our community. All that means is you just commit to donating once a month to us, something. I recently got a little donation, which was totally cool. Because you know what? Let me just say this. Look, if you are somebody who goes, $5 or $6 or $7 or $10 doesn't matter to you guys, it's really not that big of a deal. I'm going to tell you something. It's a big deal because any amount anybody gives to us is a big deal, just so you know, okay? And so I don't want anybody to ever feel like, I can only give $2 or $3 or $5. You know what? That $5 helps us out a lot. And if we just had like 5 million people giving us $5, a month, we would be able to upgrade and get some help and do a whole bunch of other stuff. So just so you know, Randall and I really do appreciate what you give. And so please consider becoming part of our team and doing that. The other thing I want to tell you is that if you are interested in learning more about Ladies of Justice, Legal Shield, and legal protection or identity theft protection, which you need, by the way, then go ahead and go over to my website, go to bit.ly /LOJ 2019. Go there and send me a message through that website. Say, hey, Stace, I want to set up a meeting with you so you can tell me more about what this is about. Last night, I actually was on a leadership call with the top women in Ladies of Justice, and a couple of my friends, signed on to get the insurance and actually to join my team. And that's what I want. This year, I have a goal. I don't normally state what my goals are, but honestly, this year I want to cover at least 100 new people with this protection because there's criminals out there. In fact, I'm just going to vent just for a minute and then Josephine will come back. But I read an article this morning, and if you're my friend on Facebook, I posted it. I read this article about a woman who pretended to be one of these home care health workers. She went into an assisted living on the weekend, and she went to the doors of these elder people who are in these assisted living facilities. She knocked on the door. These dear, precious people who are in there because they need the help would let her come in. She sat down with them. She basically got their Medicare info, Social Security, all this stuff. This scoundrel, and she is a total evildoer. She goes in there, preys on these people, and gets their info and steals their identity. that is exactly why I signed my dad up for Legal Shield and identity theft protection. Because you know what? Just because somebody's nice and they're in assisted living, if they're working there or pretending to work there, doesn't mean, it takes one bad apple, people. And I think that we need to have more good apples and an ounce of prevention, right? Speaking of that. So sign up for identity theft insurance this year. And protect yourself and your loved ones, especially those who can't protect themselves, because they're not able. They're older. They might have dementia, like my dad. Yeah, I tell you, I'm not going to stop thinking about that article because it just proved my point. And for such a small investment of money, the protection value, it just far outweighs what you're investing in. I mean, a couple bucks compared to months and sometimes thousands of dollars of a headache. That's what you're preventing when you sign up with Legal Shield or get identity theft protection with us. So just keep that in mind, okay? And lastly, let me tell you, if you're not on my text message list, please join my text message list. That's where I send most of my info. I do have an email list, but I text every day. So text the term Bible News to 33222. And get on my list. I will go ahead and I will send a message to you, say, please tell me who you are, because it doesn't give me a place to put your name. But then I can find out, and then I can put it in. You will get a text message from me in the morning, most days. I try, with a scripture. And then we do our Get Slugged devotion time right here on Periscope. And then you get a message right before I go on air at 4 o'clock. And then this week I did 2 flash contests, and so you'll get a text message there too. You won't have anybody spiking it. It comes directly to your phone. Nobody can intercept it. It's a great thing to be on. So I just want to encourage you to join that too, okay? Okay, so if you just joined us, today our guest is Josephine Zanetti. She's written a brand new book called 9 Servings of Vegetables, the cookbook for the nutritional balancing diet to eliminate toxic metals, balance your biochemistry, and prevent disease. This is actually a beautiful book, and it's very thick. It's got a gazillion recipes in it, and Josephine's here to talk to us a little bit about it. And you can go to her website as well, josephinezanetti.com. You can learn more about it. So, Josephine, you ready to come back on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So, welcome back.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are.
Yeah. So let's see what some of the other questions are that came in during the break. I don't know if any did, but we'll look.
Well, somebody asked about I would say about the fruits too, that the chemicals, the benefits of eating fruits outweighs, because it's like there is no, with all the chemicals being sprayed on these fruits, it's a risk. It's a risk because nobody really knows what exactly they are, except that they do cause a lot of disease. One thing for sure, they do cause more. We have a lot of new disease in this world that we didn't have 100 years ago, like Alzheimer, for instance. That's a good one, and dementia. Right. And there is actually many people around the age of 40 now who have Alzheimer. We have a few clients on the program that have Alzheimer, and that's like shocking at 40 years old. You think it's an old disease, but it really isn't.
Yeah, no, you know what? You're the second person I've actually heard that from.
Yeah, it's like mind-boggling. And what happens is once they get on the program in getting on the diet, taking a few supplements like magnesium, calcium, we all need it because we're all very deficient in minerals. What happens is they may not go back, but at least it stops. It stops the symptoms. It stops the disease to go further. Mm-hmm. And that's what we want. We want to stop these things to stop. And it's the same thing with men. You don't want to go more in the precipice on the left than they already are as we speak right now, because we need them. Right. We need them to lead.
Right. Okay. So what about sugar? Okay, we talked about sugar. I mean, I can tell you my own testimony with sugar.
Go ahead.
When I eat sugar, if I eat an excessive amount of sugar, I get really depressed physically. And emotionally, I start to crash, and I also notice I get brain fog too, because sugar is addictive. I love sugar, I have to admit, but I definitely can tell a thing. And years ago, I was on antidepressants, taking this medicine that was kind of forced on me, actually, to be honest. But I was on that stuff. It was hard to get off, which is a completely different topic, of course. I eventually went cold turkey. It took me about 4 months to withdraw from all these antidepressant evil medications. And long story short, for almost a decade now, I've been off of it, and I've never been happier. But I noticed a direct correlation between sugar intake and processed food. I mean, I do eat some, but not like I used to. So what's your take on that, on sugar?
Well, you just said it all. I mean, that's exactly what happens with sugar. And most of us are addicted to sugar because we started very early on. It doesn't have to be the white sugar. It starts with the cereals.
Right.
Okay. It just starts with this. You try to give a kid some vegetables when you've already had pablum or another kind of cereals. It's like chaos in the house. It takes a long time. Already the kid is completely addicted to the sugar. It's like heroin. It's like taking away heroin from that kid, and he's already going through withdrawals. But once he goes through the withdrawals, he feels better. I remember when I started this 7 years ago, I didn't give up my apple a day. Okay. Then I did the 6 months, the full apple. Then it was half an apple. Now, if I have a taste of the apple, I find it like so sweet that it's even disgusting. I don't like it. I find my vegetables to be very sweet, whereas before I didn't.
You know what? That's interesting too. And, the other thing I want to share with you too is, like, let's talk about soda and that type of thing.
Right.
Okay. So it was probably almost 25 years ago for me.
Right.
I was in my early 20s. I was downing the big gulp 7-Eleven, like 32-ounce drink of Diet Coke. And I started having really bad stomach problems. And so I went to the doctor. He said, well, really, you don't have anything going on down there. But I went to a chiropractor nutritionist after that. And then he told me, he said, well, you're craving carbonation. That's really what your body's craving that. So I would recommend this natural soda and get away from the Diet Coke. So that was like at the end of the year. I made a New Year's resolution the following couple of months. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do any Diet Coke anymore. Not for a year. Okay. Well, it's been 25 years, but about 6 years ago, when I left California to come to Tennessee, I was going through a Del Taco drive-through when I was really, like, when I ate fast food every day. I did a lot of that. Anyway, I went through a Del Taco drive-through. I ordered a black iced tea, no sugar. And when I took a sip of it, it was Diet Coke. And it tasted awful. It tasted like cocktail chemical. And I'm going to tell you, Josephine, I literally almost vomited in my car. I spit that thing out as fast as I could. And I was ticked because I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a cocktail chemical. I mean, that's literally what it is, actually. And that's the thing. I always have people say, well, I hate the taste of water. You know what? I didn't like it when I first started either. But now that's pretty much what I drink. And I know you have to be careful with what you drink it out of. But so what's your take on the drinks?
Well, that's better. Even with the plastic, that's 100 times better than these sweeteners that they have in these sodas. The sodas, it's like caffeine. It's not even. It's like nicotine. Mm-hmm. Okay, because really it stimulates you. You get very stimulated with it. When you wonder why people have so much energy, a lot of it is nervous energy. It's not really real energy. It's not an adaptive energy that we're able to have within our bodies that we can produce ourselves to be healthy. So these sugar that you're talking about, I mean, we see children, I was on the bus a year ago, and the kid was really getting agitated. So the mother gets out, she gives him jelly beans. Well, it didn't take him about not even 15 minutes. He was comatose, the kid.
Oh,
comatose.
Wow.
And a lot of parents do that, by the way, because they don't know how to handle their children. So what do? They'll give them sugar, and boom, the kid's going to go comatose right away. And it's like, so it's the same thing for us. It's like we are living in the world right now where people are almost comatose.
Oh, yeah.
thinking. They can't think. And it all has to do with the food that we're eating, the processed food, even some of the, because the thing with the fruits, and I know people are thinking about the fruits.
Right, they are. I admit I eat more fruit probably than vegetables. Yeah.
Right. So they're thinking, oh, gee. But the fruits, you have to think they're very high in copper. Copper is a female element in organic biochemistry. Okay. So it could be the yin. All right. So when you eat a lot of fruits, and even if you eat a little bit, all of us have too much copper in our bodies already. We need copper to survive. It's a mineral that we need, but most of us have excess copper in the body that needs to be eliminated or balanced. Okay. And this is why we see all this stuff going on when we're talking about the man and we're talking about all of this, because I mean, the smoothies, they're made of, a lot of it is made not just of the vegetables. They probably put one leaf of spinach and the rest is all
the fruit. Yeah.
Fruits, right? But this is what your audience have to realize. That's what I talk about in the book, about the zinc, which is testosterone, and the copper, which is a female element, which is the yin and yang. And man, and even women, we have to become more yang, because we're very yang deficient in the Chinese terminology, as they call it. Right. Now, I believe that in the Chinese terminology, I think that Jesus came along with that way before 5,000 years, way before the Chinese came around with that. Okay. They called it their own. They made it their own, but it's really about Adam and Eve.
Right.
Basically.
All right. So, okay, let's talk about where people can get your book, because I want people to get this beautiful book. Now, this is not available on Amazon, right?
No, not right now. You can go to josephinezanetti.com. If people have any questions, I have a contact number they can reach me at when they get on the website, and I'm no problem in answering any of their questions that they have. And pretty much the book at the beginning, it's not just recipes. At the beginning, I explain what it is, why you need to eat so many vegetables, and why you need a balanced diet. And then the other half is about recipes in there to get them started, get them going on something for them to get healthy, in order for them to stop the fog that they have in their brains and stuff like this.
Yeah. Let me just give everybody just a little bit of thumbnails about what's in here. I'll read you some of it. So it says here, Chapter 1, Nutritional Balancing. Chapter 2, Kitchen Tips. Chapter 3, Ingredients for the Nutritional Balancing Diet. And then there's recipes. So there's the basics. So there's broth, vegetable bone, lemongrass, rendered animal fats like duck or chicken fat, beef and lamb, compound butters, garlic and mustard butter, eggs. There's a whole bunch of herb and spice blends, stuff that makes the food taste good. That type, dips and spreads. And then we have dressings, sauces, soups, and stews cultivated in wild leafy greens. How do you say that? Brassica vegetables? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, squashes, root vegetables. So it describes all the different types of vegetables, fresh beans and peas, spiralized vegetable pastas, grains, poultry, lamb, and then there's a whole section of appendices or appendices. We all have an appendix, people, unless it's been taken out. Or if you happen to have, well, no, that was a bad joke. But anyway, if you're a librarian, you know. Anyway, it has an appendix in the back. And as you guys can see, this is like huge. This is not a little book. It's very thick and you can read it. It's not like in like 8-point font. If you're like 50 like me, then you need, it's good. It's good sized. And there's some nice pictures in here too. Like here, I'll show you. Wait, hold on. Like that. And that's a kind of a example of a picture. It's black and white, but still it's a picture. And it's very comprehensive. And so this would make a great gift, you guys, not only for yourself, but if you love your family or something, you might want to get yourself a few copies of these. How much is this? About?
30 US.
Okay.
Now, if anybody wants a copy and they get in touch with me, I can give them a discount coupon of $5.
Okay, so you heard that. Okay, so good. So you guys get in touch with her. Go to josephinezanetti.com. You see the name right there over there. I can't put my hand in her square. But there you go, right there. This okay, and then I did see another question. Hey Marty, see you in there. Gina. Okay, so Gina wants to know what about grains and vegetable bone broth, I think. And then I actually had a question about nuts in particular.
Yeah, nuts is okay. Don't totally recommend nuts because we don't really chew our food as well as we should. So almond butter is really good. You can have that, about 2 tablespoons a day of almond butter when people really feel like when you stop this kind of food, you get urges. You're going to have all kinds of urges. They're all going to come. Things that you didn't even want to eat maybe 5 years ago, a year ago, all of a sudden they're all going to come. But 2 tablespoons, but the nuts, any other kind of nuts is not that good. You can have some seeds. Sesame seeds is okay. You can put a little bit on your food. Tahini is okay. But nuts is very hard on the digestion, and we don't digest our food well enough for that. And what we need to work on is to digest the food as best as we can. That's one of the best things we need to do,
Right. Okay, so what about collagen?
Okay, collagen is found in food like bone broth.
Okay.
I have a recipe for. You find it in fish such as sardines. We don't recommend any other fish, maybe only the small fish, smelt, the sardines, maybe a few others, but not much, like no salmon, because they're very high in mercury now. I mean, because of what happened with the radiation and stuff, and with the Fukushima. That was a big problem. So, but yeah, that's where you can get your collagen with sardines. Very good. If you have 3-4 cans a week of that, that's really good.
What do you
get
do?
your vitamin D.
I'm not a big fan of sardine. I'm not a big fan of fish. I don't really care for fish. So what can you eat in replacement of the fish?
Well, for collagen, the bone broth every morning you can have. You make your own bone broth and have about a cup a day of that. That's really good.
Okay.
Really good.
So a processed kind, like getting in a can or something, do you recommend that?
No, I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend that you make your own because you want it very thick. You buy beef bones and you make your own on the stove, and you can also make it in a pressure cooker. Pressure cooker goes really fast.
Okay, yeah, I actually have one of those.
Yeah, 30 minutes, So I don't mind cooking. I like cooking, so I don't mind it sits there on the stove. But some people, if they work, they don't have time. I work too, but I work from home, so it makes it easier. But if you work outside the house, outside your home, a pressure cooker is really good because you can cook your vegetables in really short time. It takes 2 minutes to cook your vegetables in there. Grains, you can have some grains like quinoa. Rice is not as recommended because it's very high in arsenic right now. Especially though there's a few companies that it's not so bad, but they even admitted themselves that because of the soil. And arsenic is dangerous for the body. It's not good. So we have to be how we get to find out about these chemical or toxic metals is because when we do the hair mineral analysis.
Right. I've had that done.
Right. Once you get that done, you get to find out all these toxic chemicals you have, toxic metals, the minerals. And some people, we know right away if they eat too much fish or if they have too much nickel, arsenic in their bodies. And if they're eating, we'll find that a lot of Asian, their arsenic is really high. And people, let's say, who do not eat organic chicken, a lot of the poultry has a lot of arsenic in poultry as well, if it's not organic.
Yeah, Randall and I kind of, we at one point, we were both eating, we would do a traditional a meat for dinner, and it was probably about a year ago or so, or maybe even longer, we actually just went ahead and stopped eating meat I mean, we still eat meat, but we stopped eating it every day, maybe once a week, maybe twice at the high end. And I can just tell you, I feel a ton better, just eating a salad or something. But what about grains? I don't know if you answered that or not. Like bread.
Grains like blue corn chips is good. The one you have to be careful which ones you buy, but there's really good brands out there.
Okay.
Okay. And grains like quinoa is okay.
Okay.
Things like amaranth is very good. I have a recipe to make amaranth crackers just with the amaranth, no flour, nothing, just the amaranth, and it comes out to be amaranth crackers, which is really nice. So it's something to have as a snack on the side. Meat, red meat is very good as well. If you can have it at least 2 or 3 times a week, that's not a bad thing. It's very good because that eliminates excess copper. If you're really serious, for men who are listening, who are really serious and wanting to balance themselves out, start thinking clear. And that I would say for women as well, because of the cancer issue. Okay.
Right.
Having about 4 or 5 ounces of red meat, that's not a whole lot. Hold on a minute. So we're going to close this. No. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You
in my office, guys.
That's okay. We've had.
I'll have to talk to you later. Okay. That's a client, but she got it. She doesn't know I'm doing this, but that's okay.
That's all right. We're Bible News Radio, where anything can happen. Yeah,
I know.
Can. So anyway, okay, so that's good. Okay, so
have to unplug next time.
Yeah. Well, the question about detox, basically, what Josephine said earlier is if you read her book and get it and do what she says, that basically helps you detox. And like red meat will help you detox.
Yeah, believe it or not, red meat. I mean, the only time we do not suggest red meat and eggs are for people who have cancer or think they have cancer. Those are people we absolutely don't want them to have red meat or eggs. But they can have chicken, or turkey or poultry, basically, that's okay. But or sardines. Some people that are on this diet that are vegetarian, it's okay, but it's not going to balance their body very well, and they're going to continue staying in. This is why it's such a yin, and this is why yin which is very female. This is why it's becoming more and more yin. The whole world is becoming more yin because we have been brainwashed in thinking, yes, you may feel better without eating that food. And I know that because I've been through it, so I know it. Mm-hmm. Eating salads, you feel like so light, it's so much better. But in truth, we're not putting the nutrients in our body that is needed to function well. So eventually it gets to us. Right. You'd be shocked. I mean, I've had about 5 people in the last few years that all died of cancer, and they all died. These were people that were all vegetarians, and they all looked healthy, and they just, boom, they just left just like this as vegetarians. Wow. They just died. It was like, I couldn't believe it. And they really looked very, very healthy. So looks can be deceiving.
Yes.
You see, some people, they may have no wrinkles at the age of 70, but that means nothing. I
don't have any at 50.
No, you're looking good, actually.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful skin.
I appreciate that. Okay, but Randall's telling me, wrap this up. You need to wrap this up, Bareface says silently.
Okay.
But anyway, okay, so go ahead. I have loved having you on. I want you to come back for sure. So go ahead again, tell everybody where they can get your book and get in touch with you.
Yes, you can get my book. Go to josephinezanetti.com. If you contact me, I have a link for you to contact me. If you want your $5 discount, please contact me and I'll send you a discount coupon. And any questions you have, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll be happy to answer you.
All right. Awesome. And that's very nice. That's very nice that you did that discount. All right, everybody. Hey, you know what? Tomorrow is Free for All Friday. Yeah, it is. So I hope you join us for Free for All Friday. And I hope you guys get the book. I mean, seriously, I know a lot of you eat. Most of you do. This is a great resource, you guys. If you liked what you just saw, why not support the author, okay? And support yourself. Get get some good info and get good food in you. You'll feel better. You know, one of the things people say to me all the time is, I can't believe how much energy you have and blah, blah, etc. And frankly, a lot of it is just because I exercise, I drink water, I don't put a lot of that stuff in my body, and I feel better. And of course, occasionally I feel but whatever. What are her medical credentials? She's actually, we actually covered that at the beginning of the show. So because our show is almost over, go back and watch the replay. All right. So be bold, everybody. Stand up and go with God because he loves you. We'll see you tomorrow.